what is the relation between the stock market and the housing market? Or is there any relation? Or would they like affect each other in any sense?
I've never personally gone and done the research. I imagine that they are positively correlated for the simple reason of wealth effects.
Yeah.
And whilst trickle-down economics is relatively nonsensical, there is an element of a wealth effect. Maybe it trickle down in the sense of if somebody's feeling wealthier because they've made money in the stock market, they may buy a more expensive property. As a result, they sell their existing property, somebody buys that, and that kind of goes, that chain effect kind of trickles down into the lower rungs of the economy. So I imagine where the stock market is rising, in a generally positive economic environment, the housing market is also kind of moving in line with that.
Yeah.
That being said, sometimes the stock market does decouple from what the economic outlook is in general and doesn't really reflect that. I think we're in one of those situations right now where the stock market is kind of moving in a direction that the general economy doesn't feel like it's moving in. And that can happen, but at a certain point, it will kind of come back to normal.
Yeah. Okay, so what I had in when I was preparing this question in my mind is there are some stocks, like these are called REITs. So basically you can just purchase a part of housing company or like a lenders or hotels, like any company that deals with property. And you can buy shares of these properties. So let's say there is like a downturn in the stock market and everybody is selling their stocks and the prices are decreasing. The effects of this in the housing market, what would it be?
So I don't think that they'll have a huge impact because for the simple reason that the housing market doesn't move at that same velocity as the stock market. Stock market moves a lot faster. If you've ever tried to buy a house, you know exactly how quickly the housing market moves. So I wouldn't say it's one of those where it has an instant impact. I think over cycles, you may see an impact there if actually certain entities are starting to offload a significant proportion of their portfolio or what have you. What we do see is property groups kind of popping up that are trying to invest and like crowdfund effectively, or have a property investment group that all buy properties for cash together and they'll rent the properties out and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
we're starting to see a few more of those. How many can actually survive is a different question. I'm curious to see if any will actually survive, because in the past they haven't done very, very well. They come up with a good idea and then the idea kind of fades away as people find it's less liquid than they'd like it to be.
How fast would the property market change compared to the stock market? You said they have different velocities.
Sure. So the stock market changes, microsecond to microsecond in reality. In grander ways, maybe minutes or hours.
Yeah.
Where with the housing market, we're talking in general more weeks and months. For the simple reason that there's always going to be transactions being fed through the process, and they're going to continue no matter what. And generally, a typical house transaction today would take somewhere in the region of about 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, but in that sort of ballpark, if everybody's ready.
Even though you're getting a mortgage.
Even though you get a mortgage, correct. Okay. If you're buying with cash, you tend to move a bit faster.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of buying with cash from both sides. But yeah, in general, the housing market is working to weeks and months, whereas the stock market is working to seconds, microseconds, even minutes and hours at worst.
Depending on the company, I guess.
It depends on the company.
If the company is volatile, then
exactly.
Yeah, you will get a change instantly.